Okay, this is the Unit 3 thinking task, part 1 for the L'Hopital's rule. So, the time that you have to use this rule is when you set the limit for as x approaches some variable, so infinity or 0, and when you sub this into the function, you end up with something that looks similar to like these variables here. So you end up with an infinity, 1 to the infinity, and all these kinds of things. These aren't actual answers. You don't know what these mean. So the way you have to do this is then you have to do L'Hopital's rule. So if we come down here, so the way we do this is if you were to sub in the limit as x approaches 0 and you were to sub in 0 for x, you would end up getting sine of 0 over 0. The sine of 0 is just 0, and that's 0 over 0, and that's nothing. So the way you go around this is by setting each one of these to their own function. So make sine of x its own function, so f of x is equal to the sine of x, and let's set g of x is equal to x. So what we do is you just take the derivative of these. So f prime of x is equal to cos of x, and then g prime of x is equal to 1. Now, if we were to then put that back into the equation, so then we'd have cos of x, oh my god, this is so awkward to hold, cos of x over 1. Sub in a 0, you then end up with, how do I hold this? Cos of 0 over 1, which is just equal to 1 over 1, or 1. Now, I have another example down here. Whoops, that's my old example. Okay, so let's go with this example here. So if we have x cubed over e to the x, sub in infinity, infinity cubed over e to the infinity, that's infinity over infinity. That's nothing again. So again, just separate them. So f of x equal to x cubed and g of x equal to e to the x. So then you just quickly just take the derivative of these and yada yada. So the derivative of x cubed is 3x squared. The derivative of e to the x is e to the x. Now, let's try subbing in infinity again. 3 infinity squared over e to the infinity. That's infinity over infinity again. So, let's try this again. So let's take the second derivative. So f double is equal to 6x. And then if you were to take the g of x, that would still be e of x. Try subbing in again. That's still equal to infinity over infinity. Whoops, there we go. So let's do it a third time. And then whoops, I don't know if you can even see any of that. That would have been a whoopsies. So then you take the third derivative, so that would just be 6. And then g this of x is equal to e of x, 6 over e of x. Sub in that for infinity, so the limit as x approaches infinity. 6 over e to the infinity is equal to 0. Because you're dividing by a ridiculously big number, and any number divided by any ridiculously big number is just 0. So